Hi, I'm your host, Jürgen Strauss from Innova.Buzz, and I'm really excited today to welcome to the Innova.Buzz podcast all the way from Venice Beach, Los Angeles in the USA, Brandon Leibowitz, who's the founder and owner of SEO Optimizer. Welcome to the Innova.Buzz podcast, Brandon. It's a real privilege to have you as my guest.
Thank you so much for having me on today.
Now, your business helps people get more free traffic from Google without spending money on ads. And I know you're really passionate about all things SEO and how to optimize both the number of people finding your content as well as how many, first of all, the right people as well, and then how many of those people engage with you further and may ultimately become customers. So I'm really looking forward to explaining your philosophies behind that work. But before we get on to that, what's the impact you're making in the world today, Brandon?
I'm just trying to help other business owners get more traffic. So just trying to help businesses grow and watch them hopefully take off and just get to the level that they want to be at ultimately. So that's what I'm doing at the moment, trying to give back and help out.
All right. This idea of traffic, I know it's a technical term in terms of number of people finding your content, whether that's website content or social media content. Talk to me a little bit about the philosophy of turning that into something more human, because I kind of have very mixed feelings about this whole idea of using the term traffic and using the term leads and conversion, because it's all to do with people, right? So tell us a little bit more about how does that philosophy play into your approach to search engine optimization?
Well, search engine optimization is really getting traffic to your website or getting you ranked on the different search engines. So when you search on whatever search engine, mainly Google is the most popular. There's ads at the top. Those are all paid ads. But right below the ads are the organic, the free listings. And SEO is trying to get you up there. So when someone searches for your keywords, that you show up on Google in the organic results. And hopefully they click onto your website. And that click becomes a visitor or traffic or whatever you want to call it. But that's just someone coming to your website. And ultimately, that is what SEO is all about, is getting you ranking on Google, so you start getting more people, more eyeballs on your website.
All right. The idea of ranking on Google, I mean, there's all the time that I've been in business, I guess, from back in 2005, 2006, where people were talking about ranking in Google and how important it was. And there were these series of ideas that people put out there. Here's how you can trick the search engines to get higher ranking. And then the Google in particular would change the algorithms, change the rules to shut these loopholes. How do you see the best approach to search engine optimization and getting ranked on Google for the keywords or for the search terms that you actually want to be found for?
I would definitely avoid any of the tricks or shortcuts, because they're probably going to do more harm than good. And you have to really take the time and invest and spend the time to build up your trust with Google, because Google just doesn't trust anybody. So you want to put keywords all over your website, but unfortunately, Google doesn't really care what you put on the website, because they don't believe you are who you say you are. So what they want to see are called backlinks. They want to see other websites talking about you. The more websites that talk about you, the more trust Google is going to give to you. And then they look at those keywords on your website to figure out what keywords you're targeting. But it doesn't really work the other way around. Without backlinks, it's pretty much impossible to rank on Google. And a backlink is just a clickable link from another website that points to yours. So if you're reading an article, let's say on Forbes.com, and in there it says Brandon Leibowitz, and you click on it and it goes to my website, I'd be getting a backlink from Forbes.com. So the more websites that link to you, the more trust Google's going to give to you, and the higher you're going to be able to rank.
Yeah. All right. So backlinks are really important. Now, it strikes me one of the tricks that I came across quite a lot in those early days, and I think there's lots of ways now Google picked this up and penalise people. You didn't talk about penalties there, but you talked about it can hurt you if you try to scam the system. There's certainly penalties can be applied. One of the tricks I saw was link farms and various ways to quickly generate thousands of backlinks to your website. And of course, I think I'm speaking in turn here that you wouldn't recommend that. One of the really great strategies, I think, of generating those backlinks is what you're doing, which is appearing as a guest on somebody else's podcast, because we will have backlinks on our show notes to your website and to your social media profiles. So tell us a little bit more about, is that a strategy you're using, and what are some of the other strategies you can use for getting backlinks in an ethical way and a way that is actually consistent with Google's guidelines that they publish that you can go read?
Yeah, it's all about quality, not quantity. So in the past, it was the more backlinks you had, the higher you'd rank. Now it's some more backlinks from quality websites. So what is a quality website? A quality website to Google is a website that's related to you. That's a big part of it. So relevancy is number one. If you're, let's say, selling cars online, and then you're getting a backlink from a restaurant, that looks a little strange. Like, why is a restaurant linking out to someone selling cars? But if you're selling cars and you're getting another website related to automobiles or trucks or engines or wheels, tires, anything somewhat related to automobiles, that's what Google's looking for. So relevancy is really important. And then authoritativeness, like how popular is this website? The bigger the website, the more SEO value that's passed on. So if you got a backlink from my website, it's good, but it's not the same as a Forbes or Entrepreneur or Wall Street Journal. So the bigger the website, the more SEO value. And there's a lot of different ways to get backlinks. The best is really spying your competitors, see who's on that first page of Google for your keywords, and using different tools like the Google or like Moz or Ahrefs or SEMrush. You have to pay for these tools, but with these tools, you can throw any website in there and see all of their backlinks. And this could be Google. You could throw any website in there, and one by one, start looking at the backlinks and looking for the ones that are relevant and also authoritative. Because you don't want to just go after every backlink. That's an old way of doing it. It's going after the quality. So looking for relevant and authoritative backlinks.
Yeah, well, there's a couple of really key points there. Is how to identify backlinks that can give you that quality and relevance, and looking at competitors with those tools you mentioned is one really good way to do that. And then let's say, because you mentioned a couple there, so I'm imagining if we're able to write for Forbes or what's another one that's high ranking in the business?
Wall Street Journal.
Yeah, there we go. If we're able to write articles for one of these, that automatically gets us a backlink, right? Because at some point there we have our website or we have our personal profile linked back.
Hopefully. It doesn't always guarantee. You have to make sure that clickable link, because just because they mention your company name doesn't mean it's a backlink. It has to be clickable, because that's the most important thing, is you have to be able to click on it and then it takes you to your website. That's what we're looking for.
So let's say we say, well, I'd love to write an article for Forbes, or I'd love to write an article for one of these publications that might be really relevant to my space. So in my case, it might be a podcasting website or a podcasting publication. What's the best way to go about that to, first of all, have that particular publication say, yeah, we'd love to publish that because it's going to contribute to our readership, it's going to contribute some value. And secondly, how can we ensure then that we actually get that clickable backlink?
Getting the clickable backlink is not always guaranteed, but as long as you build a relationship with that website or the webmaster and reach out to them and offer something of value, then hopefully they'll reciprocate that favor and give you a backlink. So it's all about trying to get creative, and that's where you could do the competitor analysis and look at what your competitors have done and see where they've been published and start reaching out to those sites. Because if they're on that first page of Google, it's more than likely because of those backlinks. And if you acquire similar backlinks, it's more than likely going to get you to, or get Google to trust you and rank you higher in the search results. But I would definitely look for people that are relevant, and you could just search on Google for like podcast blogs and start reaching out to the sites that are ranked on those first couple pages of Google. Because if they're ranking on those first, let's say maybe like the first 3 or 5 pages of Google, they're definitely getting some SEO value. And if you could get a backlink from those websites, it's going to help get you to that level as well. So spy on, or just check out who's on that first page, first couple pages of Google, and build those relationships.
Yeah, that's a really important point I think you've mentioned there, and I hope that people take that on board. It's not just about podcast blogs. That's a general recommendation. Building the relationships first, making sure that your contribution will add value to that particular blog or publication, and then the relationship, you have the conversations, hopefully that will lead to the backlink as well.
Yep. That's kind of the steps nowadays to find relevant websites, because relevancy is so very important with those backlinks. You don't want to be on a random website. You don't want thousands of backlinks. You want quality sites to link to you. And even a few quality sites could surpass 1,000 low quality sites. So it's all about the quality nowadays, not the quantity of those backlinks.
Yeah. And how often and how much of this should I be doing?
You just need to do more than your competitors. So not one size fits all, but unfortunately you got to keep building backlinks, because if you stop building backlinks, Google thinks that you're not still in business, or your competition is going to start building more backlinks and trying to outrank you. Because I'm going to look at your competitors' backlinks and try to acquire the ones that your competitors have. And once I get to that first page of Google, you're pushing someone off that first page of Google. They're not going to be happy about it. And they're probably going to look at your backlinks and try to acquire the ones that you've gotten. So it's kind of that back and forth battle, keeping those rankings. If you have competition, if there's no competition for your keywords, then you don't have to worry about that. But the more competitive the keywords are, the more you're going to have to do to maintain those rankings. The less competitive, the more you could kind of relax and just let that be. But nowadays, it seems like almost everything is somewhat competitive. So you got to do some maintenance to build those backlinks. And the number of backlinks comes down to your competitors. If you have 100 backlinks and your competitors have 200 backlinks, then maybe you only want to build a couple backlinks every single month. But if you have 100 backlinks and your competitors have 5,000 backlinks, you might want to build a little bit more to help give you that traction and gain that momentum. But you don't want to build too many either, because if you build too many too quickly, Google will penalize you for over optimization. So it's that slow, natural growth, and just keeping it, mixing it up if you can. Build a few this month, build more next month, build less next month, build more the next month, but try not to leave any patterns.
Yeah. Well, one of the things you mentioned there, I think that's really important, is it's got to look natural. It's got to be natural. And I think consistency is important here, and turning this into a habit, ideally as part of the business you do anyway. So for me, and we use podcasting as an example, by publishing a podcast weekly and by linking out to the people, there is a pattern there. There's a clear pattern there. So I get a backlink usually from people that have guested on my podcast, because they'll publish it somewhere and they'll link it back. Usually that's through social media. Of course, we publish those on social media, so we get backlinks from the social media there. And there is that pattern, but it's consistent and it's natural. So I think that's the important thing, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what Google wants to see, is organic. It's natural. It's not being forced upon them. So like you said, you do a podcast, you publish it on your website. Whoever that guest was is probably going to share it on their social media sites. They might post on their own website, but they're more than likely definitely going to share on their social media sites. Yeah. So it gets you that. It helps you also tap into their audience now, because their audience sees that, oh, here's the place that I was on a guest as a podcast. And maybe after they listen to that podcast, they want to listen to more podcasts by you, and it'll get you a new subscriber, a new follower, or whatever metric that you're using to track.
So that's the metaphor for any business. It's a really great model. So tell us a little bit more about the role of social media in this whole SEO space.
Social media doesn't have that big of an impact on SEO because Google's blocked from most social media sites because they're all kind of competitors. So Facebook, Twitter, the only one that Google owns YouTube. So YouTube, Google owns that. They're going to promote YouTube as much as they can. And Google partnered with Twitter maybe like 7-8 years ago. So Twitter might have some value because if you search for a company's name into Google, like if you type into Google like Target or Walmart or Costco or whatever, you'll see their most recent tweets will appear in big boxes. Google's able to grab that data. But other than that, social blocks Google off because they don't want to help each other out at all, somewhat competitors. Right. But it is good to have a presence on social media just because it helps build trust and makes you, social media is really to put a face behind the company. Like 10 years ago, 15 years ago, you could go search on Google, like, let me buy a TV or shop for TVs. And you might see bobstvs.com and you might see Amazon or Best Buy. And you're like, I trust Best Buy, I trust Amazon. But who's Bob's TV? And Bob's TV might have been around for 80 years. You just don't know about them. And social media was a way to be like, hey, you could ask us questions. You can engage with us. You can see reviews. You can see status updates. You can see all the stuff that helps build trust and let you know that we are a real business and we're here to help you out and not steal your money or hack your credit cards, whatever that people might have been worried about.
Okay, well, that's really important as well. So there's the aspect of search engine optimization and ranking higher in the search engines, but there's that other part of it, which is building trust with the people that find you through a search or find you on the social media. And that comes back to that whole relationship thing. Yeah.
And that one is the tough one to build is you got to get Google to trust you. And then once you get Google to trust you, they'll start ranking you and you start getting people to your website. But once you get people to your website, how do you get them to trust you? And that's a whole nother, that's called conversion rate optimization, optimizing your website to convert people into phone calls, sales, leads, emails, whatever that conversion action is that you're trying to achieve.
All right. Well, what are some of the simple things people can implement or just make sure that they have in place? Many of them probably have some in place already that build that trust very quickly on their website. Let's say that they're already ranking reasonably well in the search engines. They get the right sort of people clicking on those links in the search engines, landing on the pages that they have presented. What are some of the things that should be in place to rapidly build that trust with the website visitor or the page visitor?
Having testimonials and reviews in an easy place to find, making sure that everything is there on that screen so they don't have to scroll. So whatever you see on the website or on the phone is called above the fold. Once you start scrolling, that's below the fold. And 70% of people will never scroll down on a website. So you got all your pertinent information at the top, have a value proposition that lets people know what's in it for me. What am I going to get from using your product or service? Maybe have some like bullet points or video, and then always have your call to action, whatever that conversion goal is. If you want people to buy your products, then you have the add to cart button above the fold. If you're trying to capture email or contact information, you could have that form above the fold, but got to make it easy, make it load quickly, but just really offer value, and less is better, especially with mobile. You don't want to have it too cluttered and have a bunch of stuff there. People's attention spans are short nowadays, so less is better above the fold. Below the fold, you could have a bunch of text and all that stuff, but above the fold, whatever people see initially, you want to make it clean, easy to read, and have the most important aspects of it up there. And if they want to learn more, then they could start scrolling.
So, yeah, user-friendly, keeping it easy, and having those key things there, the trust builders like testimonials, like what's the next step that you're asking them to do, maybe contact information above the fold as well. because contact, not only is that making it easy for people to get in touch, it's also a credibility builder, right? If you publish your email or phone number there.
Mm-hmm. Yep. They want, especially having like just like basic stuff, having like an about us page, contact us page. That to Google is what a normal website would have. So some people, especially a contact page, because if you don't have a contact page, Google's just like, all right, what's really going on? You don't want people contacting you? Why is that? Because something must be off. Either you're getting a lot of people contacting you, you don't want to deal with it, or you're just some fly-by-night kind of shady company, and Google kicks off over half the websites off the internet because they're just spammy, weird sites, and you got to really prove to Google that you're legitimate, real, trustworthy, credible business.
And making it easy is, I mean, that's probably not something Google will assess, but it's certainly user experience is so important. And I can't tell you how many times I've actually gone somewhere with the search term buy a particular product and have actually left that website because it was too difficult for me to buy that product. I was ready to pull out my credit card and type my credit card information in. I landed on that page because that came up as what I thought was the most relevant search, and I left the page again because it was too difficult. So having that great user experience is so critical, isn't it?
Oh yeah. Nowadays, user experience is a big part of SEO, and that is something that makes it a little trickier because I could get people to your website, but if your website's not fully optimized and for people, they're going to hit that back button, and that's going to show Google a negative signal, and that's going to impact my work, which nowadays makes it a little trickier because I don't build websites, but I definitely help and give recommendations on move this here, change this around, because it is so important to keep people sticking on your website. But I mean, I have clients that come to me or leads that come to me, and they're like, I'm not getting anyone to purchase off my website. And then we check, and their shopping cart doesn't even work, like you're saying, or they're like, nobody's contacting me. And then we check their email form when they submit it. No one gets the email contact lead. So it's like basic stuff that people over or forget about, or the email address on their website is an old email address and nobody's checking that inbox anymore. And all of a sudden they look in there and they see hundreds of emails that they're like, what's going on? Why did I get these emails? So sometimes it's little things that people overlook that could have a big impact on sales quickly.
So there's lots of fundamentals there that Brandon's just mentioned that really need to be in place and probably regularly audited and made sure that everything's in order there.
Yep, there's a lot. It's not easy. There's over 200 ranking factors for SEO on Google, plus all these other variables now that you got to deal with is getting people to trust you and so much more.
All right. Well, obviously with over 200 ranking factors, it's something that people might say, well, I don't want to do that myself, or we don't have the expertise in-house to do that, so we want to get somebody to help us. What are some of the things that people should be aware of when they go outside to get somebody on board to help with search engine optimization, to help with this conversion rate part? Because I see probably about 20 emails each week saying, great job on your website. They usually start with something like that. But we noticed you're not ranking #1 in Google. And they don't say for what keyword, of course. We can help you. Clearly, I don't respond to those. But what should we look for if somebody's saying, well, okay, I need some help with this. I want to audit what I'm doing, whether I've got the right things, or I'm not happy with how many people are landing on my website, or how many people are contacting me, or how many people are buying. What should we look for when we look for a company to hire?
I would just make sure that they're building backlinks that are from quality websites, because with SEO, such a big portion of it is backlinks. And if they're building the wrong type of backlinks, it's going to do more harm than good. So I would ask them what their strategy is, how they go about building backlinks, what type of backlinks they build, and really kind of drill them down on those backlinks. Also read the reviews, testimonials, case studies, things like that. But definitely talk to them and see how they're going to plan to build backlinks. And you can even look at their backlink profile and see what type of backlinks they built for themselves and I mean, that might be a little more technical, but you could essentially do that and see, do they even know do they do SEO for themselves, or are they just spamming people with those emails and trying to get people to sign up? Because I get like 10 of those a day. And I'm just like, do you even look for your emailing? Because you're emailing an SEO company pitching SEO, which is
that's right. Yeah.
But yeah, it's weird. It's kind of funny, but yeah, there's so much.
That's funny. Actually, you reminded me. I got one yesterday that said, "I love your website, and I noticed you don't have a podcast yet. We're a podcast company that helps you launch podcasts." And well, if you loved my website and you paid any attention, and it is above the fold, the podcast is front and center.
Yeah, no, it's kind of bad with how many people spam or just don't pay attention. But there's a lot of spam out there nowadays, and it's tough to weed through it all.
And I think a lot of that comes back to there's automated systems that just fire this stuff out there. And coming back to our earlier conversation about making this whole process natural, because if you're publishing articles in something like Forbes, or if you're publishing a podcast, or if you have a YouTube channel and you're regularly posting content there that's valuable to somebody, valuable to an audience, that is kind of a natural run-of-the-mill business. The more you can do that, of course, the more information is out there, the more value you're adding, hopefully, to your audience and to your followers. And simply by the nature of going through those actions and having that as a consistent habit, you're building those backlinks, aren't you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's all about consistency with it, just building those relationships and trying to offer some value. Because if you're just asking someone for a backlink, they're probably going to say no. But if you offer some value, they might be a little bit more willing to. Still doesn't guarantee it, but it helps give a little bit more incentive. And just be patient with it all, because it does take time to build those relationships and get those backlinks published. But do the right things over time, you'll start seeing more and more content being put out there and more backlinks being built.
Excellent. Well, a couple of key messages there. Lead with value and be patient and build the relationships. Wonderful. Well, I think it's a good point now, Brandon, to move on to the buzz, which is our innovation round. And it's our lightning round of 5 questions that I ask of every guest. And the idea is you'll inspire our listener to go and do something awesome as a result today.
Awesome. Sounds good.
So what's the number one thing anyone needs to do to be more innovative?
Just be creative and be open to new ideas and new suggestions, and don't be closed-minded, I would say, and just try things out. Even if they might fail, you learn from those mistakes and just keep going and growing and building from there.
Love it. Reframe the mistakes as learning opportunities and be open to new opportunities and ideas. So what's the best thing you've done to develop new ideas?
Just trying to brainstorm and getting creative and thinking outside the box, talking to other people, getting other perspectives, doing like keyword research that I know how to do for SEO, because then I could get new ideas of things I might not have thought about or heard about, or synonyms, variations, industry jargon, things like that. So it's just taking the time out and just getting to quiet space or talking to other people too to get those ideas initially.
Yeah. So it comes back a little bit to relationships there, working with other people, but also I like the idea of going through keyword research as a potential source of new ideas as well. All right. What's a favorite resource you use most often? You've mentioned quite a few so far.
Probably Google, I would say. It's the best resource out there, just because if you know how to use Google properly, you could spy on your competitors and see so much data right there just in that Google search, like that blue clickable link when you search on Google or when you search for any keyword. There's blue clickable links, and those are all SEO title tags, and that's where your competitors are putting their keywords. So if you want to quickly spy on your competitors, search for your Google or your keywords in Google and see that blue clickable link, see what your competitors are using, and that's going to give you ideas. And there's so much you could do with Google just by searching around. You don't even need to click onto websites, but just by searching around Google gives you a wealth of information.
Okay, well, that's a great tip there. It's probably something that people don't use for that particular purpose, but there's hidden gems in there.
Yeah, yep. It's all about how you use Google, and there's all these like advanced search operators and things like that that help you do more advanced searches and really refine and hone in and do some competitor analysis and things like that.
Excellent. All right. Now, what's the best way to keep a project on track?
That could be tricky at times, but it just depends how organized you are. And if you need to have some sort of something out there like to help you stay on top of your tasks or a scheduler, but it just depends. Each person is different, and I'm just kind of able to, or sometimes I'll just have like a to-do list, just write it down on paper sometimes just to see it in front of you, but it just depends. Everyone's a little different, and I just try to sometimes keep it simpler and not overdo it, and just try to prioritize, like have just a sheet of paper sometimes and just write down what's most important for that day.
Yeah, there's a big message there to don't overcomplicate it, keep it as simple as possible. Because sometimes we have fancy systems that we build and become slaves to that system rather than spend a lot of time becoming a slave to that system rather than focusing on the actual project or activity.
It happens all too often. It's comfortable and just kind of let it automate, but you still got to be on top of it, checking it all out.
Yeah. Excellent. All right. And what's the number one thing anyone can do to differentiate themselves?
Just find something niche about themselves, find something unique, which is differentiating themselves. But it's tough. Like, I just try to think outside the box and try to come up with ideas that people are already doing. Maybe get a mentor, have them help you out, give you some feedback and advice, and give suggestions of what might be good to help you just stand out and become more niche and not just the same general thing that most people are doing, because you gotta have something unique that helps you differentiate yourself from the competition. Yeah,
I love that, because there's that bit of self-awareness to that, isn't there, of knowing what are the particular strengths and combinations of combinations of experiences and so on that I have, which does make me unique, and reaching out to someone else to have that conversation, somebody like a mentor who can maybe see things from a different perspective, can be really helpful.
Yeah, mentorship is so very helpful. It's invaluable. I tell everyone, if you can, you need to get a mentor. And there's free resources out there. Like, I teach classes at this, it's called score.org, and they'll have people that will be your mentor for free without you. And nowadays, with everything online, they'll do virtual. So if you don't have a mentor, you can't find one, you just go on score.org and they'll help connect you with the mentor, or go to like local events or chamber of commerce or whatever's in your city. But definitely try to get out there and find someone. It's a lot better if you can find someone in person, but if you can't, that last resort is that website works really online. Well.
Excellent. Well, there's another resource that I didn't know about, so we'll share that one in the links as well. All right. Well, thanks, Brandon. This has been fabulous. Now, where can people find out more about you, about SEO Optimizers, the work you do, and maybe even get in touch and say thanks for what you've shared today?
So for everyone that's listening or watching, I created a special gift for them. If they go to my website, SEOoptimizers.com, that's SEOoptimizers.com/gift. They can find that there, along with my contact information and a bunch of classes I've done over the years. I put up all those classes for free. And also, if they want a free website analysis where I'm checking out their website from an SEO point of view, they could book some time on my calendar there as well.
Excellent. Well, that's very generous. Thanks for that. All right. And is there a specific action you would like to see the listener take out of today's conversation, related either to their backlink strategy or their website optimization or anything else?
The best action would just to be taking any action, because I know even myself, like when I first started doing digital marketing, you just keep reading and reading and reading, and you don't really take action, but just try anything out and you'll see if it works or not. That you have to try. If you don't try, it's just listening and reading and watching and absorbing content. It's great, but you have to try and test it out. But backlinks really are so very important. So I would say, if anything, try to find your competitors' backlinks using those tools like Ahrefs or Moz or SEMrush, and buying one of those tools and looking at your competitors' backlinks and trying to go after the quality ones, the ones that are relevant and authoritative.
Excellent. Well, that's a specific action. So we'll get people to have a look, do some competitive research on that. And I think all of those tools, if I remember correctly, give you a 30-day trial as well. So you don't need to buy them straight up. You can test this strategy out. Is that correct?
I believe so, but I was checking today, and I had a consultation earlier today with one of my clients, and they signed up for Ahrefs, and they used to have 7 days for $7, but they took that away. So
all right.
I don't know. I feel like they're all changing their pricing strategies, but I would say just buy one of those tools. You don't need to buy all three. They're all pretty much the same or similar. You just buy one and you use it for as long as you need it. If you just want to do all your competitor analysis right away, just do that competitor analysis for the first month.
For a month,
because they bill you every single month. And if you're not doing SEO full time, you don't really need to buy that tool forever. You just need to do competitor analysis, download those reports, export them, and then you cancel it, and then you're good to go.
Excellent. Okay, that's a really good action. And identify some good backlinks, and then take some action on a couple of those backlinks, or start to see how you can get those backlinks. All right. Well, finally, Brandon, who else should I get on this show, and why?
Good question. I'll have to try to think. If you get other people in like SEO field, like Matt Diggity would be pretty interesting, or just anyone in general that has a unique perspective or point of view is always interesting to hear.
Excellent. All right. Well, we'll reach out to Matt, maybe get an introduction, and see if we can have a chat with him. Well, thanks so much, Brandon, for spending time with us today, sharing your insights. A couple of really key messages that I've taken away here. It's all about backlinks primarily, and it's all about relevance, and it's all about natural backlink building, which is something that you can actually incorporate into the business you're doing. So I think they're my key messages. I don't know if you want to add anything to that.
No, those are the main ones. It's just get good quality backlinks, add good quality content to your website, and Google's going to reward you.
Excellent. Well, thanks, Brandon. All the best for the future, and let's stay in touch.
Thank you for having me on today.